Welcome to this week's edition of More Insights and Strategy Game Time Tech Podcast. We're on episode 19. I'm Robert Kramer. I'm joined by Melody Brue, and we're both principal analysts and partners in our sports technology vertical. So, guess what today is? Are you ready for some football? This week, we're turning our attention to the upcoming NFL season, highlighting the vendors that are driving innovation behind the scenes and digging into what really matters. But what we always talk about is the fans and their overall experience. Let's do a quick disclaimer and then we'll jump into it. This show is for information and entertainment purposes only. While we will discuss publicly traded companies on this show, its content should not be taken as investment advice. So let's get started. Mel, how you doing today? Where you at?
Doing well. I am in lovely Monterey, California. I'm in a hotel room, obviously, but if you see out my window, you'd be really jealous. I can see the beautiful ocean and it's lovely, but I have, I don't know, I might be in tears later because I'm dropping my son off.
Those are tough times, but they're fun times. And I don't know, how do you feel?
I feel pretty good about it. I mean, it's been a long journey to get here. He's playing baseball in college, and your son played golf in college. The amount of dedication it takes to get to this level is it's been really impressive to watch him, and he's ready. He had his first practices yesterday and classes today. So I'm excited for him. Of course, I'll be a little bit sad to leave him, but I'm off to the T-Mobile Analyst and Tech Innovation Summit. So we just move on and get to work. But yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of fun. It's
what a great time for him to be part of that. So,
yeah.
So as we talk a little bit here today about the NFL, I mean, we got a big season, and the NFL is one of the biggest, sports industries to talk about. So AWS is at the forefront, and they've expanded what they do in the NFL. And the Draft IQ is a great example. It's the fans have live draft boards, updates every 5 minutes. Then I guess they can see trade scenarios, personalize their dashboards for all 32 teams. But what's your thought on AWS and football?
Well, there's so much going on with football. As we've talked about in the past, I just love how these technologies are really becoming a proving ground for companies like AWS, because obviously they're not all about football, but this major focus on football. I mean, even with my move in moving Trevor into his apartment this week, every Amazon box that we have received has some NFL stuff on it. So obviously this is super top of mind for everybody. But what I really like about this, especially with like the draft part of it, is it takes something that used to be really insider only, like these trade probabilities, these analytics that make it a really fun part of the fan experience. And so you can easily see this not just carrying over into the enterprise, but you can see how they could translate this into other sports. So like the NBA draft, with this kind of live data, it will completely change how fans will watch it and engage with it.
Yeah, that's correct. And what's interesting is it's not just stopping at the fan features. It's what's really, I guess, equal as important is how they're able to, the NFL operations can get a lot of research done. So they can pull decades of videos and data and information to have at their fingertips. I'm just thinking how much time that cuts down on what they used to do to study, get, I guess, past tapes or pull data on players. And this is also being used in other sports like baseball, golf, even Formula One. But this is cutting just hours and hours. You saw the coach, they used to like sleep in the office, which they probably still are, but where they would cut down all that time to get that information at the fingertips. It's just unbelievable how automated some of this information is being handed to them.
Yeah, for coaches and for broadcasters. I mean, think about it. If you're covering a golf tournament or a football game or any sport, really, they don't have to dig through reels and reels of past coverage to find like a player's best shot or whatever they're looking for. They're just able to ask for it. And so I think that speed really changes how stories get told, and they're told live. So again, it's an example of how they're using the data and AI, but it's also a benefit to fans and certainly to broadcasters.
I agree. And what's also good is we always talk about the nostalgia and the games can have to be kept at the certain level for the fans to really appreciate it and also the players. So one of the things that I like that they're doing this year is they're invoking the Hawkeye, which is a big change on the field. They're using, I guess, 6 8K cameras to help measure the first downs with more precision, which I think is something that needed to be done. It's like I call it at first base for the umps in baseball, that you need to be able to get that right, because I think it all does come down to a game of inches and cutting it down to where you can get the exact first down. They say it takes I think they're saying it takes like 40 seconds um, out of the game, but I thought it took a lot longer than that, saving time for those guys to run out there and actually measure it and then do a whole back and forth. But
Yeah, that definitely seems like minutes, not seconds, but it is definitely part of a bigger trend. I have it in tennis with the line calling cameras, as we saw at the US Open and Wimbledon. They're doing it in cricket, soccer. And so far, what they've seen is that fans trust these systems more than the human judgment. AWS is bringing that reliability into football. And I've said this before, and we're on our topic of my son playing baseball now. It really is. It's a tough thing, because as you talk about nostalgia, and there's so much part of any game of getting calls right or wrong, and it adds to the drama and the excitement. But these players really do deserve to get the calls right. So I'm on the fence about that one. I love the the lucky strike that gets called every now and then when Trevor's pitching, when it was actually just a bit out. He's a lefty, so those are harder to judge sometimes. But the players really do deserve to get it right, and the fans clearly trust it.
I think you're 100% right on that. And I think some of these other enhancements are dealing with like the digital athlete and simulating, and predicting where injuries could happen. Like, we're aware that they changed the kickoff, where it's really not even. It used to be a big play of the game. They basically almost gotten rid of it, where the kickoff isn't really something where they actually run it out. Where before, I remember the games were decided on the kickoff where someone ran it back. I don't think you're going to see that as much, but there's new metrics around, the likelihood of tackling, and also what I just mentioned, where players getting hurt and the probability of that happening, and like you mentioned with the broadcasters. But I think it's changing where it's helping the game in some respects. A lot of football players later years of their lives have had a lot of problems. So the more they can reduce the risk with some of this advanced technology, like the digital athlete, I think it's a big deal.
Yeah, I love what AWS is doing with that, with the safety, and not just applying it to the NFL, but actually it trickling down to high school, and even, like Pop Warner, which my kids started out playing Pop Warner football. And that extra layer of safety isn't just for professionals. They're using that data that they're learning from these injuries and everything, and making it safe for people to play. And so much of that, with like the possibility of injury, also where the pitch might land, where the golf ball may land, odds of sticking the green. Fans love that extra layer of context, and so it makes it more fun.
Yeah, I agree. And what's also interesting is the broadcasters are able to use all this to help the fans, to give them that information, and even maybe help them where to pay more attention to. And I think it also offers another way to have multi-dimensional camera views, or ways to show different audiences, where certain things are happening where they might not have seen it. Like in the past, if you look at like Howard Cosell and Monday Night Football, it was like one dimensional, but we liked it, but there wasn't any uniqueness to that coverage. Now there's
Mhm.
amazing coverage of I guess really between the fan engagement, the media operations, the players' health, the on-field officiating. Amazon is or AWS is really has a stronger play in how they're making the game better. So technology is really influencing the NFL and all these other sports that we're talking about.
Yep. I think it, as I said before, sports is really just a very visible stage to show what this kind of AI and for broadcasting certainly and data, but what the cloud technology can do in real life. But it's being proved on the field.
Well, and we talk about this all the time. It's not just sports. I think innovation in sports is a great example of how it could be used in other industries. So, like healthcare, supply chain, finance, workplace. I mean, everything that's being done in the sports arena is that technology can be used in other industries. But as we continue on, and we talk about Microsoft's approach, which is feels a little different than AWS's. Instead of building big league wide systems, they're focused on what's going on in the sidelines with the tablets and AI helping coaches and players make smarter calls in real time.
Yeah, talk about changing the flow of the game. Coaches can review plays instantly, spot patterns, shift strategy. It's a huge advantage.
Yeah, and it's the same idea you have in other sports. So in basketball, a coach could use AI to suggest lineup changes on the fly. Soccer managers can make substitutions with AI's recommendation, right? So it brings decision making a little bit more, into the moment versus, you know, intuition, I guess.
Yeah, I think this looks like, a sports play, but when you look at it, it really fits into Microsoft's bigger strategy. So they want AI to be embedded where people are already working, like Teams, Office, Dynamics. The NFL is just the sports version of that, right? So
Mhm.
coaches don't have to be data scientists. They just need the insights that are presented clearly right there to them. So this is helping to solve that.
But what is your son's team using? Does he know? Sorry to deviate from Microsoft, but are they, it'd be interesting to see that or hear about that like one day. Like what type of technology are they going to be using in the coaches? Are they going to have stuff like we're talking about on the sidelines where from a baseball perspective at his
Yeah.
college?
So I haven't seen everything in real life yet, but I heard after practice last night about all the things they have in their training facility here in Monterey. It is like high tech. On top of they have like a cryo chamber, red light therapy. I mean, all
Wow.
this stuff. I'm like, wow, that's definitely next level. But they do have a lot of data around the pitches and all that. So we'll do like a focus on baseball or maybe college sports in general and see where technology is really changing things.
That'd be great. But as we look at things, so Formula One's another good parallel and how they use AI tools, you know, in the pits, right, for the racing, and Microsoft is doing what they're doing with the NFL shows that it's the same way that they're thinking with other sports. And this technology lives on the edge and close to the action. So AI is a big part of all these sports and will continue to be that.
Yeah, I think the edge part of what you just said is so important. You see that certainly with F1, Cadence is doing a lot with that. So is Qualcomm. But this for Microsoft, they're focusing really on embedding AI into the moment to moment work of people actually making decisions, which is full parallel to how you use Microsoft in your work life.
Yep, I'm wondering if fans notice a difference because the Surface devices are on the sidelines and they might not know the impact, but the teams are making these really quick decisions and adjustments. And what I think in the end is a more competitive game and hopefully more parity in some of these sports.
Yeah, I wonder if they would notice the actual devices on the sideline, but Microsoft is certainly doing its best to make sure that people do. I mean, we know that they've got the Copilot back. Was it back in Jersey? Yeah, back
Yep.
in Jersey with Manchester United, and So there is an element to this where it's not just about the technology. There is the marketing element to that. And
Hmm.
so having those names and the visibility to the brand is also an important element of that. And I think there's been a really nice combination of companies not just slapping logos on, but using their logo for visibility, but using the technology to really make a difference. So making less about, kind of the shiny um, marketing play and more about making technology decisions, data, calls, whatever it is, easier in that heat of the moment.
Well, let's move on. I agree with everything you're saying, and let's talk a little bit more about the fans. IBM released a new study that really shows something pretty clear. Fans everywhere are expecting a more dynamic, personalized digital experience. Watching the game isn't enough anymore. I mean, we all go to games and we want to see certain things, custom highlights, predictive stats. I mean, I'm interactive features. I'm in the fantasy league, more than one. So, so you need a lot of this. Who knows who these players are necessarily, not that they're not good people or whatnot, but we just don't know them because there's so many different players at different positions. We need data, and we need data to be interpreted and to help us with that experience.
Yeah, it gives people the opportunity to discover new players that people might only care about Rory McIlroy, but maybe they see somebody else play and then they're excited to watch them play too. Like we, at the US Open last year when we saw that amazing, crazy men's doubles match. We didn't know
Yep.
who these people were, but we're able to get data. So fans are using that slam tracker at the US Open and match chat for that real time analysis. At the Masters, you see every golfer gets these personalized highlight reels. So you can really track any player, and I think it's a great opportunity to find new ones.
Well, it was interesting when we were at the U.S. Open and when you were at Wimbledon as well. You got to use the apps firsthand, and I think it helped us and to understand because remember we were looking. There's like maybe 5 or 10 courts that were playing
Yeah,
outside of the one match that we went there for, but it was a break, and so we had a chance to go, like you said, that doubles match or whatnot. So it tells you what's going on, who the players are, why to go there, where they're from, who's predicted.
yeah,
It's it overall, I think it helps. And I thought it was a really cool experience. And IBM is supported, with these predictive stats. So they have new features, I believe, like the pressure probability of who's the prime target on playing right now, so they could focus their attention. And that's a big leap from a standard box score, which if we just saw the box score, we probably wouldn't have gone to a specific court. We were in like, well, we don't know and we're not going to go.
yeah,
So
yeah. Where this is all going is that it's not a nice to have anymore. This IBM study shows that fans expect it. And if leagues don't provide these personalized digital experiences, the fans, especially the younger ones who, just want things are constantly coming at them, and maybe the attention span is slightly lower, but fans will disengage because this is what they expect, these personalized experiences.
that's an interesting point. And I think what why this matters is because sports, it needs to be scalable. So if IBM can deliver personalized experiences for millions of fans, they can do the same in other industries. But we've mentioned those industries before, but it's interesting you said about attention spans and people paying attention to their phones and innovation more. That's why it even matters more, I think.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, I think fans are passionate, right? They're global. They expect instant results, and so if companies can keep them engaged, if leagues can keep them engaged, you can look at that and you can really apply that model anywhere. So think about how companies look at their marketing. These are ways that personalization is so important, and kind of taking a page from the sports book of applying that model to how do you keep fans or users or customers engaged in that way that they want.
Right. And so IBM, I think in the end is that AI driven personalization is not really a gimmick. They're showing this through um, their innovation, through this research. It's quickly saying that the baseline, this is the baseline, that you have to have this AI driven personalization across tennis, golf, football, and every sport. We look for it whenever we go to an event, and it's just required to stay relevant, and for this to be an example for the other industries like we're talking about.
Yeah. People expect this level of personalization now with pretty much everything. So, of course, they're going to expect it in sports. So, well, this was a great chat. Hopefully,
Yeah.
hopefully next time you see me, I won't be like, red-eyed and teary, and I think I'll be okay. Um,
What's your exit strategy? I mean, are you saying goodbye,
yeah,
hug, kiss,
of
and
course.
see you
Yeah.
soon?
Yep, it'll be a see you soon, and then of course I'm sure I'll be here a lot to watch games and things. But as far as
One,
see you soon, we will see all of you soon on the next episode. We'll talk about how unified communications is hitting sports. Ring Central just announced a new big deal with the Cubs, so we'll talk about that. We've got a bunch of other things. It is nonstop with sports and sports technology, and it's getting hotter and hotter. I think you saw Satya Nadella put a tweet about Microsoft's sports initiatives out, or a tweet, an X, whatever. I'm like, I'm
yeah,
old.
what is it called? A tweet or an X?
I
Or
know it's an X. I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, if he's Xing or tweeting about it, it's clearly hot. So we will keep bringing all of the insights and what's happening in enterprise technology and game time technology over the coming weeks as we travel and get on the road. And thanks so much, everybody who's watching, for joining us. If you like what you saw, please hit the subscribe and like button. Let us know if there's anything else you want us to talk about, or you want to talk to us about on any future episodes. And thanks so much for joining us. And I'll see you later, Robert.
thank you.